All right, guys, let's jump right into it. Today we have a special guest spotlight, and the spotlight is on black cinema. All right, today we have Micah Payne from the Black on Black Cinema and Nerdpocalypse podcast. Hey, Micah, welcome to the live show.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, Micah, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about Black on Black Cinema.
I'm a nerd that likes movies.
Nerds are great. We
And
love nerds.
as nerds are wont to do, we start podcasts. We've been podcasting since 2011, and we've been doing Black on Black Cinema since 2012. And yeah, we started it. We started podcasting out of spite. We were listening to someone else, and my partner Jay and I. Jay came to me and said, "Dude, I think we could do a better job than this person." and then that's how it started. That's
a cool way to start.
That is a good way to start. A challenge.
So let me ask you. So I hear Black on Black Cinema. So what specifically is that?
So we the podcast started in 2012, where me, Jay, and a couple other friends of ours, we were just talking about. We were taking a dump on like a Tyler Perry movie, and we were like, we should talk about this on a podcast. And then we noticed that there is a certain lack of representation when it comes to mainstream reviewers, critics, reviewing specifically Black film or film dedicated to a more African American audience.
I get a sense of what you mean. I've seen some reviews where I'm like, I don't know if it were the Black community, I always actually if I go to Rotten Tomatoes, I actually look at the reviews and see what the fans are saying, because I know a lot of reviewers are looking at it from their lens and they don't get it. They don't get the nuances of something like a Get Out, for example.
Exactly. If they even review something like that, right? Like, it usually has to be some sort of prestige Black film for someone to take the time to review it, right? And we wanted to spotlight movies. We wanted to spotlight those movies, but we also wanted to spotlight movies that people just kind of like but may not get the love and attention that other movies might get.
Okay. Did you have a question, Lizzie Enders?
So a lot has been made of the idea of what genre Black movies, Black writers, Black cinema should be about. So my first question to you is, do you have a particular favorite genre for Black cinema? Something that you think that we should just jump on and keep, the train moving and going, or something that you would like to see more of in Black cinema?
I would love to see more Black sci-fi.
Okay.
Black people, we like all the stuff that everyone else likes, right? But you don't see us represented in a lot of sci-fi. There's a very famous story of Will Smith turning down the role of Neo in The Matrix, and because he's just like, I don't know what this is. But if more of us were to be in Black sci-fi, maybe he would have taken it. Maybe it would have been different. Doing this podcast, I have seen quite a few blaxploitation movies now, and some of them are really great, and some of them just, I love 3 the Hard Way. 3 the Hard Way is like the first. 3 the Hard Way is like the Avengers.
Oh, but you're talking about when you say blaxploitation, you're talking straight from the 70s, or you're talking about remakes or like updated versions?
Oh, I'm talking like Foxy Brown.
Oh yeah.
7. And 3 the Hard Way was Yeah, the Mac, yeah, stuff like that. And yeah, Through the Hallway was really great. I do enjoy the prestige black film, but usually prestige black film involves a lot of black pain, which I understand people don't necessarily want to see all the time, but it is important because it's a part of our history, and movies help keep stuff like that alive. You would rather see that in a movie than read it in a textbook for some reason. That's how people are. But if you can get to people through movies, you can keep those stories alive.
You have a question, Gianni Storm?
Yeah. What would you say constitutes a black film or a black movie?
Great question.
So it's one of those
Producers,
things.
Actors, what are you talking? Yep.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you kind of know it when you see it. But I usually we have a loose criteria, but first and foremost, the movie should speak to a black experience. I think that's very, very important. I think the movie should star a black person, right? The black person should be in a starring role of some sort. I would love to see more black producers in film, but something that speaks to our experience as a culture. I is what we qualify it as, and sometimes we get a little loose with the definition because sometimes we want to review like Four Brothers, right? Like that movie has nothing to do necessarily with black
Love that
culture.
movie. Four Brothers was a great
Right,
movie.
but we love that movie.
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg. Yeah,
Exactly.
I love that movie. I thought it was a great movie.
We did it on Black Cinema because it stars Andre 3000 and Tyrese. And that's what I'm saying.
Two. I know. I'm with Lizzie's face on this one. I mean, that's a good point to Gianni's question. Is like Gianni's question is valid in that what are you calling black film? That's actually a very good question.
But we don't. It's not a lot of that. Right.
Okay,
like
yeah.
we have a lot of, we have fun movies like The Last Dragon. We have serious movies like 12 Years a Slave. We run the gamut.
Okay.
So Z Girl, one of our former hosts on the show, she just posted in the Facebook thread.
Yes, Z Girl.
With The Last Dragon.
We're gonna have to get her to guest host.
Oh,
The Last Dragon.
We did The Last Dragon. It was one of the first movies that we did because I absolutely love that movie. And yeah, we think it qualifies.
Great movie.
I love it probably for the same reasons. I love it because my girl Vanity is in the movie.
Yes.
Rest in peace. So yeah, I love that movie. Love it. Black women love it because of Tyrak. So
Pootie Tang, did she just write Pootie Tang? Do you count Pootie Tang as black cinema?
We did Pootie Tang. We reviewed Pootie Tang.
Oh, really? That's so.
We're getting back to the low bar.
Jacqueline Robbins said Black Caesar with Fred Williamson. Black Caesar with Fred Williamson, a cult classic. All right, Robbie Rock, did you have a question?
Black Caesar yet.
Oh, I have a couple of questions, but the first one I have for Micah is, I guess a little bit of context. I'm from Canada, so I'm north of the border. But I'm curious, which films would you recommend to someone like me who wants to educate themselves or learn about Black culture in America?
Great question.
Oh, I
just want to point out Robbie Rock, as part of the show, has really tried to work on like understanding what we deal with in American Black culture. So I mean, he's excellent. I mean, he's excellent.
Thank you, Rob.
I'm one of the good whites.
No, that's not.
I mean, I was thinking it. I just didn't want to say it. I think that our show is for everyone. I think that if you are, we have quite a few non-Black listeners, and I think one of the episodes that I think would help you kind of understand the Black experience is a film called The Watermelon Man. It's an older movie, but it's about a white man who's an insurance salesman. He's a bit of a bigot, and he's proud of it. And one day he wakes up as a black man and he sees how life treats him differently, even though he's the same guy. It's a very, very good movie. It's a Melvin Van Peebles movie. It's very, very good.
Do you do series as well?
We don't do too many series, but we have done
Like
When They
Lovecraft
See
Country?
Us.
What is it called?
We've done When They See Us,
When They See Us.
the Ava DuVernay series.
Yep.
And right now we're in the middle of Small Axe, which is on Amazon Prime.
Mhm.
It's Steve McQueen's anthology film series about West Indian Londoners
Yeah.
in the 60s through
I've
the
seen
80s.
a few of those. I've seen quite a few. I've seen about 3 of them personally. I think, how many is it total? Yeah.
There are 5. We reviewed the first one, Mangrove, and
Yep.
the
wife said
next
it was
couple of
great.
episodes. Oh, Mangrove is wonderful. It's
I
an
haven't
excellent
seen that
movie.
one. I saw the second and the
And
third one with when they were dancing in the reggae, and then I think the other guy with the police officers.
yeah,
Those
yeah,
were
we're gonna
both of them.
review.
Both of them were pretty good. I know the second was a
I
little
have a
boring
question
to me.
for Mike.
Go ahead, Janet.
Sorry.
Just jump in there.
Do you think that you would start reviewing like indie filmmakers or like independent, yeah, this thing, but like smaller black films if this like if you run out of content or run out of, I'm not sure if that's possible, but like
But
run out of black films that are known, but would you digress to a different form media?
for indie content.
Absolutely. Because part of this is to expose our listeners to films that they may not be aware of. And I have, we have no problem. We review things like Pariah, which is a film by Dee Rees,
Mm-hmm.
which is about a woman kind of coming to terms with the
Mm-hmm.
fact that she is a lesbian,
Mm-hmm. Saw that movie.
and we will review anything.
Okay.
So I have another question for you, Micah, very quickly.
Go ahead.
There's been a debate in the Black community about, again, the genre of films that are involved with Black cinema. And you often hear a lot of people talking about the fact that they are sick of slave narratives. They're sick of movies that are about slavery or the Underground Railroad or things like that. So what is your take on that? Especially as, you know, tomorrow we celebrate Dr. King's birthday, but we're also moving into February, which is Black History Month. What is your take on the idea or the concept of a writer, a Black filmmaker, a Black screenwriter who still feels that they have a story to tell about that period, whether it be pre-Reconstruction, post-Reconstruction? Like, what do you think about slave narratives, slave movies? Or do you think, like some people say, we need to be done with them 100%?
I don't think we need to be done with them. I think that it's a part of our story. It would be like saying, we can't have military movies. Like, it's a part of American history, right? I understand, especially in the times that we live in now, where Black people feel like they're just being beat on and beat on and beat on.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to rush out to go see yourself get beat on screen, because look, as bad as it is now, it was way worse back then.
True.
But at the same time, movies resonate with people, and movies like Detroit, which was a very hard watch. It was an incredibly hard movie to get through. 12 Years a Slave, an incredibly hard movie to get through. Selma, an incredibly hard movie to get through.
Yep.
But I think having those films be out there is very important.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps people who wish to understand, like Rob was saying. If you want to understand, you're more likely to watch a movie than you are to pick up a book. Like, it's just how it is.
Right.
I want to end that thought with a quote from Steve McQueen. We mentioned this on the previous episode that we just did. He says, the window for our elders' stories to be told is closing, and we can't allow them to pass away and become our ancestors without them seeing themselves, their culture, and everything they've contributed to the country represented on screen. And that quote right there says it all as to why these type of films need to exist.
All right.
And I agree with you 100%, especially since, I'm a professor at Howard University. So I'm dealing with freshman English. And you'd be surprised the number of young people who, one, they are being educated in systems where they are not being taught about Black history, about historical moments in American history. So they're not very familiar with a lot of these narratives. But also, they kind of have, okay, whatever, that happened 100 years ago, that happened 200 years ago, so it's not really that important. And it's like, no. So then I do need to show you this movie so you can put everything in context and realize where we are, why we are where we are, and how far we have to go. So I agree. Like, you don't have to watch a slave narrative. You don't have to watch a movie about slavery. But to say that we should stop making them,
That's
I
ridiculous.
totally disagree with.
All right, Robbie Rock, let me get your last question in, Robbie Rock.
Excellent. So, when I was listening to your podcast, Micah, I need to ask, when you are calling out white people, are you referring to U.S. Americans, or is this an international sentiment? And if it is an international sentiment, why? So, please.
That's right, because white Americans, Canadian Americans, Canadian Americans, Canadians, Europeans, they're, it's all different. It's all different cultures.
Yeah, so that's
a good question.
I've been to Canada. I've been to Montreal. It was white people there, incredibly nice. When we are taking people to task, and we do it for ourselves too, but when we take people to task, it is a general thing. I've only been overseas a few times, so I don't have an incredible amount of experience interacting with folks who with folks from across the world. But primarily we're talking about white Americans because like that's who we see. But at the same time, I'm sorry, white people have been, they've been doing a lot of shenanigans all over the world.
Good choice of words.
Since the beginning of time. So but we also understand, because we got a comment from someone who was from another country. Person's name is Taylor, and they were a bit upset because they felt like, I think they took it a little personally. And we explained to that person that no, we're not speaking about speaking about all white people, right? That would be ridiculous. But I like to say that, white people need to get their house in order. There are a few folks who are messing it up for the rest of us. And
it's true.
And
it's true.
And it's gonna hit harder if people like Rob tell, bigots that they need to stop. If I tell a bigot that they need to just chill, they're a bigot. They're like, get away from me. But we need people on our side. And I firmly believe that there are more righteous people in this world, of all shades, than there are of bigots.
100% agree.
It's just that the bigots are really loud.
All right.
And we gotta shame them.
All right, let's
and we try to do that through film, through film and the podcast and stuff like that.
Let's really quickly get to a few of these comments online because we're really out of time. But Karen Yvette Thompson said the slavery-themed movies are sometimes hard to watch. However, it often inspires to keep moving forward and not allow the past to be repeated. Zuleika says, I think there's room for both historical films and light storytelling. Mike Winter says, nobody is talking about Lovecraft Country in this thread, or did I miss it? I was actually going to bring up Lovecraft Country because, there are some incredible themes, Black themes in that show. That's why I was actually asking about the series. I was interested to know if you do series, because Lovecraft Country was a great one to review, along with like Watchmen and stuff like that.
Lovecraft Country, Watchmen,
Country,
all
so
that stuff.
I can't comment on it.
Yeah. All right.
I highly recommend it.
Unfortunately, we are out of time. So, Micah, are there any last thoughts that you'd like to share? Tell us where people can find you. Tell us where they can listen to the podcast. Also, again, he's also on the Nerd Apocalypse podcast. So go ahead and close us out.
You can go to blackonblackcinema.com. We have a list of all of our episodes there. You can go to facebook.com/blackonblackcinema. You can join our fan group. We have a lot of fun, talk about movies and whatever else is happening in the Black community. You can go to youtube.com/blackonblackcinema.
COVID.
And yeah. And you can follow us on Twitter at black_on_cinema.
Okay. Thank you, Micah, for joining us. We're gonna invite you back, and maybe we can do a regular segment or something, Micah. So, yeah, thank you for joining us, Micah. All right.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Good luck on everything.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you.
All right, guys.